Welcome to the Private and Public School F1 Exchange Program, Returning Elementary and Middle School Host Family Orientation. In this training, we'll be covering important information and reminders that will promote your success as a returning host family. We will emphasize the importance of communicating with your local coordinator throughout the hosting process. Your local coordinator is well versed regarding the most updated policies and procedures and is a great resource to you. Moreover, if you have any information to share or questions to ask, you should always contact your local coordinator first. As you're completing this training, you may press the pause button at any time in order to catch up on notes that you're taking or to review information. Let's get started. Welcome back, and thank you for hosting again with PSE. We appreciate all of our host families, and we're very grateful to our returning families' dedication to hosting again. As always, we're here to support you, answer any questions you have, and address any issues that may arise during your hosting experience. In this training, we're going to review the most important information with regards to the topics listed on this slide. We've revised and condensed this training from the original host family orientation so that you receive the most updated information and reminders relevant to you as a returning host family. Depending on the status of the COVID-19 global pandemic at the time of the program, students have been informed that some or all classes may be taught online. Full participation and completion of all assignments is mandatory. Participation in sports and extracurricular activities is not guaranteed. Requests to travel may be unexpectedly denied or canceled. Students are required to follow all protocols put in place by their host families, local and federal governments, and the CDC, such as wearing masks in public places, avoiding large gatherings of people, quarantining for a minimum of 14 days if exhibiting symptoms or exposed to COVID-19, and so forth. A 14-day quarantine may be required upon your student's arrival. Host families should assist students with CDC guidelines, including taking their temperature with a thermometer 2 times a day, monitoring for fever, and watching for cough or trouble breathing. Ensuring that they stay with you at home and avoid contact with others. And maintaining proper distance from others, about 6 feet or 2 meters. Please inform your local coordinator immediately if your student has an elevated temperature or exhibits any symptoms of COVID-19, for example, persistent cough or trouble breathing. Students and host families should protect themselves and others from contracting COVID-19 by following these guidelines. Wash your hands often. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay at least 6 feet, about 2 arms length from other people. Do not gather in groups and stay out of crowded places. Wear a cloth face cover or mask when you go out in public, for example, when going to grocery stores, shops, or other places. Cover your mouth and nose with a tissue when you cough or sneeze, or use the inside of your elbow, then immediately wash your hands. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces daily, including your phone, keyboard, desks, doorknobs, and light switches. Here is an infographic designed and distributed by the Center for Disease Control, which details the guidelines outlined in the previous slide. Please press the pause button to review this information in more detail. We would like to point out a few features within your host family's Zap account. First, the resources link will take you to helpful reference materials and important forms, for example, the PSE travel documents and forms. Second, to view your host family application, click on the application link, and then click on See Your Host Family Application. Your application should pop up, and from there you can view its information. It's important that your host family application always contains updated and accurate information. If any updates need to be made to your host family application, such as someone moving in or out of the home, then please notify your local coordinator as soon as possible. Also, to view your student's application, make sure the program start date is set correctly. For example, August of 2020. Then click on your student's name. Here are some important reminders regarding student arrival. You will receive an email from PSE with the student's flight details. Please confirm the flight number and flight information online. Also, confirm the time and day of flight arrival. If you have any questions about the flight details or arrival airport, please contact your local coordinator immediately. Remember to arrive at the airport early to avoid any unforeseen delays. Also, arrange a meeting place with your student in advance. Host families are expected to greet students at the airport. Remember to make a banner or sign with their name on it. Don't rely on photos to recognize them because they may have changed and may look different. When you have located your student, contact your local coordinator. If you're unable to locate your student, then request an airport page and alert your local coordinator. If you're still unable to locate them, contact our 24-hour emergency number at 877-222-9803. If your student is under the age of 16, they may be flying as an unaccompanied minor. In this case, you will need to go through security to meet them at the arrival gate, so remember to bring your ID. Here are several reminders to help your students settle in. If a chaperone is present during the student's adjustment process, please utilize them to assist with the transition. After the first several days of rest, start to immerse your student in your household routines. It will be important to familiarize your student with the household items that they will need to learn how to use. For example, the shower, sink, toilet, and kitchen appliances. Within the first week after student arrival, sit down with your student and complete the expectations worksheet together. As you know, completing this worksheet is essential to help prevent any misunderstandings and miscommunication from occurring. Your student will most likely feel homesick and lonely at first. Talk to your student about this phase and remind them that it is normal and will pass. Share a time when you felt homesick. Additionally, remember that some students experience stress and culture shock upon arrival. Do not panic. Instead, let your local coordinator know that your student is exhibiting any of these signs of culture shock: eating poorly, withdrawing, or not communicating. Now, we are going to review several important reminders regarding communication. Communicating with your student is the most important step you can take in helping your student adjust to their new environment. Most students have 3 to 5 years of English grammar and reading, but their conversational English may be awkward and formal. Allow them time to hear and speak English and provide them with support and guidance. Understanding the differences in communication between the United States and the student's home country will better help your host families understand how their student is used to communicating. Please utilize the PSE cultural guides located in the resources section of ZAP. Please remember to be patient and understanding with your student to avoid turning small cultural differences into larger communication problems. Also, if an important message is not being relayed effectively to your student due to language barriers or otherwise, then inform your local coordinator immediately. Your local coordinator will reach out to the PSE office to ensure that the message is properly conveyed. Most importantly, please remember that all communications should go through the PSE office. Please do not contact the natural parents directly. Instead, contact the PSE office. If the natural parents contact you directly, then alert your local coordinator right away before responding. Remember to always contact your local coordinator if you have any questions or concerns. As a reminder, host families are required to provide a legitimate bedroom with a bed, closet, window, and dresser, a quiet study space, 3 meals per day, secured transportation to and from school, and some extracurricular activities, a safe and caring environment. You should familiarize your student with your house rules. Writing down and posting reminders can be helpful, especially for the younger children. No attempt should ever be made to change your student's religious beliefs. However, it is acceptable to give your student an opportunity to explore your religion as part of their cultural exposure. Please remember that they cannot make any life-changing decisions while on the program, including converting to another religion. Engage your student by asking questions about school and how they are adjusting to life in their new community. The host family is never to contact the natural parents directly. Instead, you should go through the PSE office. As a reminder, if the natural parents do contact you directly, then inform your local coordinator as soon as possible. Your local coordinator is required to meet in person with your student every month and with you in your home every other month. Please make time in your schedule for your local coordinator to visit. During the COVID pandemic, virtual check-ins via platforms such as FaceTime, WeChat, Zoom, and Skype are acceptable. Please inform your local coordinator immediately of any changes in your family circumstances, such as you want to host another exchange student, someone else moves into your home, whether temporarily or permanently, someone moves out of your home, you move to another residence, your family experiences a loss of employment, anyone in your home has criminal charges against them, or if your contact information changes. Students may be coming to America with unrealistic expectations, such as, my host sister will be my best friend, or every American family is rich. Without knowing it, you may also have unrealistic expectations, such as, my student is eager to try everything American, or else they wouldn't be here. Students should not be treated like guests. Rather, they should be treated just like a family member. Naturally, some students will need extra time or effort to help them integrate into your family. Please note, while it is acceptable to assign personal chores to your student, keep in mind that their focus should be on their academics and family experience. In other words, they should not be overwhelmed by too many additional responsibilities. Here is page 1 of the expectations worksheet that you should discuss with your family members in advance of the student arriving so that everyone agrees. Then discuss it with your student after they've had a couple of days to settle in. After reviewing and signing this form, please provide a copy to your local coordinator, but keep the original on hand for your student and for yourself for reference. As you are aware, resolving conflict is essential for a positive host family and student experience. Good communication between the student and host family is critical. Remember that your student comes from a different culture and their communication style may be different from yours. For example, South Koreans may respond with laughter when they're embarrassed or when they do not know how to respond. It's important to gather all the facts and information before forming any opinions. Things are not always as they seem. Also, avoid using blaming language when discussing the problem. Here are the steps for conflict resolution. First, inform your local coordinator. Mediation may be necessary. Then, try to resolve any existing conflicts. And finally, inform your local coordinator again for any additional support needed. Let's review some important reminders with regards to money. The natural parents will determine and provide an amount of money that they're comfortable with the student spending, and will also communicate about what items they want their student to be spending the money. The host family will be responsible for keeping the money in a safe place. Make sure to document the initial amount of money your student arrives with on the student spending money form, which we will go into more detail on the next slide. It is important to collect and store all receipts in an envelope and keep it in a safe place. An additional $500 should be set aside for emergency medical funds. Please explain to your student the reason why you're putting aside the $500 and what it is for. If you ever have trouble communicating this, or if the student doesn't understand, then please contact your local coordinator for assistance. Your LC will reach out to the PSE office for help with conveying important messages. Please note that students and host families should not borrow money from each other, as misunderstandings can create distrust. All expenses that are paid with cash should be tracked on the student spending money form, which is in the ZAP Resources section. Let's review some best practices. First, ensure the student knows where both the money and the form are kept. Also, count the money with the student each time you adjust the form. This is a great learning opportunity for your student. If a receipt is lost, just create a new one and have your student sign off on it. And let your local coordinator know when the funds start getting low. If your student has a credit card, please use the EMSP credit card tracking form, which is also located in the Resources section of ZAP. As a reminder, the student is responsible for all personal expenses, including additional meals outside of the 3 meals a day provided by the host family. For example, special snacks or special foods outside of the host family's normal selection. Entertainment such as sports events. Any costs associated with travel activities or excursions. Personal items such as toothpaste, shampoo, makeup, and deodorant. All clothing including winter jackets and underwear. School expenses such as yearbooks, sports, special events, and extracurricular activities. Medical expenses like co-pays at the time of medical visits and any additional medical bills incurred. Miscellaneous purchases like tutoring costs or cell phone bills. Here is another important reminder. Host families are not allowed to co-sign on a student's cell phone plan or add the student to an existing family plan. There are no exceptions to this rule. Now, we'll review important information regarding the host family stipend. For each year that a host family hosts, PSE needs to collect an updated W-9, direct deposit form, and voided check. Please send these completed forms to the PSE office via email, fax, or mail to the contact information on the screen. Again, you may pause the video to capture this information. If a family does not host for the entire month, then the stipend will be prorated. If a student stays with a temporary PSE host family, then that family will be paid for the dates that they host. Please make sure to inform your local coordinator regarding any temporary stay situations. PSE is required by the IRS to issue 1099s to host families each calendar year for stipends paid in excess of $600. PSE host families are paid their stipends monthly. Please refer to the host family stipend schedule for the payment dates. Also, please do not discuss the stipend directly with your student or with other host families. Some students will arrive with a chaperone who will assist with the transition at school. You, the host family, will arrange transportation to and from school. Per the EMSP policy, students should strive for a C or above in their classes if they receive grades. Students must maintain regular attendance in all classes, and students may receive tutoring in English. The F1 program has a strong academic focus, so please remember that most students on the PSE program will have school and their studies as the primary focus. Academics are very important for students, and they may need to spend a great deal of time focusing on their studies. It is important to remember that homework can take twice as long for an international student. Also, students may be under a lot of pressure by their natural parents to succeed in school. Moreover, students have cultural expectations in their home country to live up to. Of course, this doesn't apply to all students, but if your student does spend a lot of time studying and not participating in family activities, you will understand why. Whenever possible, advise your student to participate in family activities and go to places with your family. Do what you can to engage and to involve your student, and treat them as part of your family. If your student is going through puberty during their exchange experience, there are some things to consider. For any uncomfortable or private issues, please let your local coordinator know so that the natural parents can be involved. For example, your student may undergo physical changes such as acne, and they might need treatment. Or they might encounter feminine issues. Help the student if it's evident that they need to purchase a training bra. Guide the student with regards to feminine hygiene products, such as how to use them and dispose of them. Now, let's review some important information regarding student travel. Permission to travel requests should be submitted if one or more of the following apply. The student is traveling by air. The length of the trip is more than 72 hours. For international travel, which includes travel to Mexico and Canada. Unaccompanied travel. Travel with someone other than the host family, or if the student will miss school. Please remember that your student should not be allowed to travel until you have received confirmation of approval from PSE. If travel plans change, inform your local coordinator immediately. If a student wishes to travel internationally, they need to bring their original I-20 and contact the appropriate consulate to gather information regarding entry and exit. Let's review the process for approval. The travel form needs to be submitted at least 2 weeks prior to this intended travel. If the student will miss school, they need to receive a school official's signature. The PSE office will verify approval with the host family, sending organization, and natural parents. Once processed, the PSE office will notify the local coordinator, host family, and student. Last-minute travel request submissions will most likely be denied. Please see the travel section of the host family handbook for more information. Travel forms may be found in the ZAP resources section or ask your local coordinator. Let's review some important information regarding health insurance. Host families are emailed a copy of the student medical ID card, which can also be found in the student application in ZAP. Insurance generally does not cover pre-existing conditions, wellness care, immunizations, school physicals, dental or orthodontic care, or eye treatment, except for dental or eye emergencies. Please make sure your student pays their copays at the time of their visit and their bills upon receipt. Open the bills with your student to review with them. The host family and the student needs to be sure to complete and return the questionnaire sent from the insurance company quickly for claims to be processed. Host families should always keep the student's PSE ID card and insurance card with them. Before visiting a doctor, the host family should access the insurance company's website or call the provider to obtain a list of doctors within the insurance network. Call the number on the student insurance card or visit the online insurance portal to receive assistance for all of your insurance questions. If you are still encountering questions after reaching out to the insurance company, please contact PSE. If your student visits a doctor or clinic for any reason, please inform your local coordinator. For any questions or if payments are not made, please contact your local coordinator immediately. Also, please remember to never put medical bills in the host family's name. Here are a few important reminders regarding visits to the emergency room. Students should not use an emergency room in the United States unless their illness or injury is serious or life-threatening. Here are some examples of life-threatening situations: head injuries, chest pain, loss of consciousness, life-threatening situations, difficulty breathing, or seizures. In addition, if you choose to use an emergency room, students will be charged up to $350 in addition to any applicable deductible or co-insurance required by their plan. If your student visits a doctor or clinic for any reason, please inform your local coordinator, and for any questions or if payments are not made, please contact your local coordinator immediately. As a reminder, at the end of every month, the local coordinator will complete a progress report for each student. Please make sure that you reserve time each month to talk with your local coordinator and to discuss how things are going with your student. Here are important reminders regarding the monthly reports. This is a great time to update your local coordinator on any issues, improvements, or upcoming plans. Also, please be honest. It's much easier to get assistance with a small problem now than to mediate a larger problem later on. In-home meetings with your local coordinator are required every other month to best support you and your student. Other months, your local coordinator may meet with you outside your home or will call to check in. All monthly reports are due on the 25th of the month, so the in-home visit will need to take place before then. Here are 5 simple safety tips to ensure that your student has a safe exchange experience. Make sure that your student learns your telephone number and address as soon as possible. Help your student get to know the surrounding area. Get to know your student's friends. Place reasonable limits on physical interaction, respecting your student's cultural preference regarding displays of affection. Ensure that your student is aware of their support systems, for example, the host family, local coordinator, PSE, and their school. Please review the pamphlet, Your Body Belongs to You, which covers information regarding sexual abuse. A PDF of the pamphlet was emailed to you as part of your host family welcome materials, and it is available for reference in the resources section of ZAP. We review this pamphlet with our students during the PSE student orientation. Here are some ideas on how to minimize the opportunity of sexual abuse. Understand that abusers often become friendly with potential victims and their families, enjoying family activities, earning trust, and gaining time alone with children. Choose group situations when possible and/or make sure that multiple adults are present who can supervise. If you eliminate or reduce one adult to one child situations, you'll dramatically lower the risk of sexual abuse to that child. Set an example by personally avoiding one adult to one child situations with children other than your own. Drop in unexpectedly when the child is alone with any adult, even trusted family members. PSE policy states that if any allegation of abuse is reported, regardless of the circumstances, the student will need to be relocated immediately. Once the sexual abuse or allegation has been reported, PSE will provide the appropriate support to the student via local law enforcement and child protective service agencies. Now, we will review some important emergency procedures. For accident or illness, always seek medical attention for the student when needed. The student's insurance card and medical release form should be presented to the medical provider to obtain treatment. For serious medical emergencies, contact the PSE office 24-hour emergency number immediately at 877-222-9803. Proceed with the doctor's advice for emergency treatment. The PSE office will contact and relay advice to and from the parents. Your student will need to complete insurance procedures as explained in the Host Family Handbook, which is located in the Resources section of ZAP. For a lost student, immediately contact PSE Portland office at 877-222-9803. Contact your local law enforcement agency as soon as you have determined your child is missing or has been abducted. Do not delay. If known, provide law enforcement with the date, time, and location where your child was last seen. Also, if known, provide law enforcement with the names of the individuals your student was seen with prior to their disappearance. Before students are allowed to swim, they and their natural parents must sign the swimming liability waiver, and PSE must grant approval. Please contact your local coordinator for further questions. Now, we'll review the student's responsibilities when preparing to return to their home country. Most elementary and middle school students will depart with a chaperone who will help with packing, luggage, shipping, and money. Each student or sending organization makes different arrangements for departure. It is not PSE's nor the host family's responsibility to arrange the student's return flight. If your student is not departing with a group, you will receive your student's flight itinerary so you can arrange transportation to the airport. Make sure any medical bills are paid prior to departure. If your student needs to store or ship belongings, it is their responsibility to cover the costs. Please refer to the Departure Preparation section on page 33 of the Host Family Handbook for more detailed information. The Returning Host Family Orientation sign-off sheet was emailed to you. Upon completion of this training, please print, sign, date, and email, or hand-deliver the form to your local coordinator. By completing this process, we will verify that you have completed this orientation. Our PSE staff is dedicated to providing you with outstanding service and support. Here is an updated list of our staff who work out of the corporate office in Portland, Oregon. Please ensure that our contact phone number, 877-222-9803, is saved in your phone for easy reference. This concludes the PSE Orientation for Elementary and Middle School program Returning Host Families. We hope that this training provided you with helpful reminders and information for another successful hosting experience. Please remember that if you have any questions, contact your local coordinator. Thank you for being a valued returning host family. We appreciate you.